Hey everybody, I'm Scott from What Culture, and Captain Marvel has arrived in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's been a long wait for Carol Danvers, now played by Brie Larson, whose arrival was set up in Avengers Infinity War, but has actually been much longer in the making. The first draft of Age of Ultron had her in it, while the movie was originally slated for release in July 2018, before being pushed back to November of that year, and finally the March 8th, 2019 slot that it's now been released in. There's a fair bit riding on the film, not just because it's the MCU's first female-led solo movie, but also because of its proximity to the next Avengers movie. It may be set in 1995, but with around 6 weeks to go, this is the movie that serves as the final pit stop on the road to Endgame. Given the character was first teased in the post-credits scene for Avengers Infinity War, with Nick Fury paging her for help after Thanos collectively snaps everyone out of existence, there's understandably been a big expectation on how Captain Marvel's own credit stingers might tie in to Endgame itself. Thankfully, on that level, it doesn't disappoint. Spoilers for Captain Marvel ensue, but let's break down both of the movie's post-credit scenes. For the first one, during Captain Marvel itself, we see Danvers modify Nick Fury's pager, the one he would later use in Infinity War's post-credit scene, so that he can contact her from Earth, telling him the signal should reach a couple of galaxies and to only use it in emergencies. The mid-credit scene begins with a shot of the pager, which is still sending the signal, except it's not on the street where Fury dropped it when he disappeared. Instead, we're in the Avengers compound where it's being closely monitored. We then see the key players of the scene: Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, Bruce Banner, and James Rhodey Rhodes. The quartet are still clearly reeling from Thanos' actions, but they've also got the pager under close observation in the hope that it will give them a clue, only for it to suddenly stop working. They've already bypassed the battery in order to keep it going, so Steve helpfully suggests turning it off and back on again, while Bruce wants to send a whole new signal again. There's a brief moment of worry and debate about what the next move should be, with Natasha saying that it was important to Fury and she wants to find out who was on the other side of the pager. Black Widow turns around, and right there, Captain Marvel is standing in the Avengers compound, looking straight at her. She asks, "Where's Nick Fury?" and then the scene ends as the credits begin again. It's worth noting that Captain Marvel is wearing a new costume, although it's a little difficult in the moment to make out the full extent of the changes. The one she wears in the film is from Star Force with the colors changed, but the post-credits version has a different logo and looks slightly more armored. By my bet, I kind of think it's the Civil War II costume, but I could be totally wrong and the comments will savage me for it. What's absolutely crucial to note, though, is that this takes place really close to the end of Infinity War. Natasha has her short blonde hair, and more tellingly, Steve still has his luxurious beard. This is an extended clip from Avengers Endgame, but it must come very early on in the movie, and means that Captain Marvel is with the rest of the team from almost the start of the film. That also means that she's quite likely the one who was edited out of the trailers in order to avoid spoiling this particular moment. And that also means that we were right all along. This means Captain Marvel likely isn't going to be saving Tony Stark as had been theorized, and nor is she just going to turn up halfway through, suddenly saving the day. Instead, she'll be helping the Avengers with their first plan, which kind of looks like it's going to fail, before Ant-Man then drives the Quantum Realm plot. On to post-credit scene number 2. Once the credits have fully finished rolling, there's another scene for those who stick around, and it features Goose the Not a Cat, because of course it does. Goose is an absolute scene stealer, so it makes perfect sense to give the Flerken a final scene, but it's also one that does have some impact on the MCU. Quite surprisingly, a lot of Captain Marvel centers around the Tesseract, though Marvel did do a good job in hiding that fact, and the Space Stone directly ties into how Carol Danvers now gets her powers, something that should help when she goes up against the Infinity Stone-powered Thanos. Back to this film, and when Cap and Fury are able to successfully get their hands on the Tesseract, Goose reveals his true powers by showing a squid-like form and swallowing it whole. The cat then goes back to SHIELD HQ with Fury, where he keeps the location of the Tesseract a secret. In the post-credit sequence, Goose climbs up on Fury's desk and vomits out the Tesseract like a big old hairball. As we know, the Tesseract was taken by Red Skull back in the 1940s, as seen in Captain America: The First Avenger, and is then dropped in the ocean before being retrieved by Howard Stark. That left a major gap in the timeline between Stark having it and it showing up with SHIELD, but this helps fill that gap with Fury and Danvers' mission, leading him to retrieve the Tesseract, where it'll stay until the events of the Avengers. So with all that in mind, what did you think of Captain Marvel's post-credit scenes? Let me know down in the comments below. I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.